welcome back to my channel. My name is Mel Hartley. If you're new around here, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. I'm glad you found me. And it's not your first time. Thanks for coming back. Today, we are going to count down my top 5 biggest financial mistakes and what I learned from them. Number 5 biggest financial mistake was not paying my credit card bills or my minimums. And I think I got my first credit card when I was 18 years old. And honestly, when I was living at home, everything was fine. I paid my bills. Life was great. But then when I moved out and had to face the harsh reality of being an adult and being responsible, I don't know, I think I just started like avoidance and not being in tune with that reality of if I don't pay these, it's gonna be a problem, it's gonna be an issue. So that really, I think, set it off in the beginning. Because of this, my credit took a massive hit. My credit score went down a lot. What I learned from this was obviously to pay your bills on time, but also just pay the minimum. Even if you can't pay the full balance off, I think for some reason with me, it's like an all or nothing thing. You're either all in or you're all out, pay it off or don't pay it at all. I think that was my mentality, my mindset at the time, and kind of getting my head out of that was really important. Number 4, spending more than I earn. I was born, I think, with champagne taste on a beer budget. I grew up in a very affluent neighborhood. A lot of my friends came from a background with 2 parents, so they had 2-person income. My mom was a single mom. So we weren't by any means poor, but we weren't, wealthy. I wasn't ever spoiled. I never got everything I wanted for Christmas and, things, nothing like that. So it was kind of hard for me though, growing up, seeing all of my friends, all of my peers kind of, oh, I want the new sneakers that are cool right now, or I want this or that. And then them kind of getting everything that they want, or it seemed like they did. And then, me having to just beg for the newest Barbie doll that I wanted or whatever. Yeah, that was a challenge. So I think when I got older and I became an adult, it was oh, I can get that for myself. I don't need anyone's permission. I can just do it on my own. And that created a huge problem for myself. I think I justified it as I earned this, I deserve this, I worked really hard, and that might have been well and true, but I couldn't afford it. I don't think I really had a budget until I was in my late 20s, a real budget. So when I got paid, I would just buy whatever I wanted. I'd go buy a new purse, I'd go buy a new, this, that, whatever, go get food, go to the bar, whatever. An example would be I would go to the grocery store and just not pay attention to the brands. And it wasn't ever oh, I only bought the most expensive brand in the store. It was more just I just wouldn't check. There's all the different types of ketchup. There's the store brand, and then there's the most fancy brand, and then there's the organic and all that crap. I'm just the kind of person that if it looks shiny and pretty on the outside, I'm gonna buy it. I used to be a very impulsive shopper, and if it's the bottle that looks the best or whatever, that was my mindset. I would just buy it because it had a pretty label, which is a marketing tactic. And all right, you got me. I knew how much I made, but I didn't really pay attention to how much I was spending or what I was spending my money on. So I would overspend, and that just started that cycle of living paycheck to paycheck and not really having anything to save and anything left over to save. So that leads me into mistake number 3, which is not having an emergency fund. Again, the all or nothing situation. I assume that, okay, in order to, have a savings account, an emergency fund, I have to put in thousands of dollars, and I don't have thousands of dollars, so I'm just not going to do it at all. And that's so not the case. Like, you don't need to have a ton of money in order to start your emergency fund. It's got to start somewhere. There's a quote that I really like: try to save something while your salary is small. It's impossible to save after you begin to earn more. And I really like this quote because it just shows that you don't have to be making a ton of money in order to save. Like, you can literally start by saving 25 cents a week, every other week, monthly, or whatever. And what's going to happen to that 25 cents the next time? It's going to turn into 50 cents. And it's just going to keep adding up, like, the more and more you add it. And if you've ever had like a little, rainy day fund or a piggy bank when you were little, and you just start putting in those pennies you find on the floor, the dimes that you find in the couch cushions, what happens to that? Like, it starts to add up, and it can add up a lot more quickly than you think it would. So anything helps. And also too, it's just like this mindset thing. It's setting your brain to kind of start thinking in a sense of saving versus spending. So you're starting to just like implement it into your brain, where you're getting into that mindset, that mentality, those habits. Habits are really, really hard to break. Old habits die hard, they say. So starting new habits is hard, but it's doable. So yeah, just start saving any which way you can. It doesn't matter even if it's like a consistent thing. Like, if you don't know you can save anything every month, that's fine. Even if it's just like, oh, I saved $5, or I have $5 left at the end of the month. On the 30th of every month, put that $5 into a savings account. Because what are you going to spend it on? A latte? I don't want to be that person who's like, don't buy Starbucks lattes, but it just depends how badly you want something. If you're saving up for a specific goal, if you're saving up for something specific, a wedding, a vacation, whatever, it's gonna be important to you. Like, do you really need this versus that? And if you are someone who is living paycheck to paycheck, like actually paycheck to paycheck, you have to start putting your priorities in order and switch your mindset to, this is my goal and I'm sticking to it. Discipline is a really big theme for me next year. But yeah, it's super, super important to start saving money, to have an emergency fund, especially. I think if anything is proof of that is last year. And just, I think I went through my entire emergency fund in like a matter of a month or two. So it's very important. Number 2, splurging on the wrong things. There are times when it's totally fine to splurge a bit when you've done the research or you're just comfortable taking that loss. Furniture, clothing, those are all, unless they're designer, those are all things that are like depreciating assets. They're not, again, unless they're like luxury and like have a higher resale value, you're just gonna lose money the minute you purchase them. You pop the tags off, like they start losing money. So I did a lot of impulse shopping back in the day, and I wouldn't shop around for, oh, can I find this somewhere else for less? I would just buy it. Like, I was the person, they loved me at Target. Obviously they love, like, you can't like go into Target and not like spend half your paycheck when you just like walk in there, but I would go like anywhere. I'm like the person they target to, like, why they put all the little goodies like at the checkout aisle, because like I would just stand there in line waiting, like, oh, the packaging's cute, like I'm gonna buy that. Yeah, like in the long run, doing the research, not buying something in that moment, like you could save like 20 bucks on, you know, a coffee maker, a Keurig or something, if you like look for a coupon or do cash back rewards or like whatever. So it's just like, again, like retraining your brain to think in a different way. What I learned from this is just how damaging impulse shopping can really be, and how important it is to have a budget when you actually are aware of what's coming in and what's going out. It just makes it so much easier to say no to those impulse purchases, because I think the most embarrassing thing would be like, oh my god, like my card might get declined in front of everybody at the store just because I wanted to buy something that probably couldn't afford and probably didn't need. It would be a financial mistake to try to save things on purchases that you probably should have just splurged on, or like, you know, just gone for it. If you try to cut corners on certain things, it might be cheaper now, but in the long run, it ends up costing you more money. I see this a lot with entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, myself included, is, you know, trying to save a buck here and there, because obviously it's very expensive to be an entrepreneur. But there are just some things, like, just budget for it, and it'll be so much worth it in the long run to have, like, to hire a professional to do it instead of doing it yourself. Not only that, but sometimes like hiring out so you don't have to do it yourself, because time is money, and the longer you're spending on these little things that could totally be outsourced, it's just costing you time that you can't be like with a client or getting customers or doing other things that are more important. Okay, and my number one biggest financial mistake is starting a business without saving any money first. So my very first business, I didn't even really plan to start a business. It sort of just happened. I actually just had an idea. I almost started an organizing business when I was like 15 or 18 or something like that. And then I just never did it. But then when I got older, I was like, I really want to try this. I want to give this a go. And I really didn't think that anything would come of it, but I put an ad on Craigslist and I started getting clients for being an organizer. And I would get referrals. I kept going with it, and it was starting to go really well. And you know, then I had to like do all the proper stuff, because like I knew I was gonna have to like pay taxes, yada yada yada. And so yeah, like I didn't really plan. I didn't have a budget. I didn't have really any money saved up. Didn't have a marketing plan, like nothing. And that just created a lot of problems for me in the long run. I didn't have a business plan, so and then also like I had destroyed my credit by this point. And so getting a loan from the bank was like, I don't want to say impossible, but not likely, like very unlikely. And yeah, so it caused like it was a snowball effect, and it caused a lot of issues with my business. So, you know, this is America, like credit is kind of king. Like they say cash is king, that's true. But honestly, sometimes I feel like they care more about your credit score than if you just had like a pile of cash. Like I've actually like applied to apartments in the past and got denied because of my credit, even though I had like money, like, hey, I have cash in the bank, like I can pay you deposit, first month's rent, like let's go. But if you have bad credit, they're just like, no, sorry, we don't think you can manage money very well. So in conclusion, I just had a terrible, horrible relationship with money and credit my entire life pretty much. And I had to teach myself how to manage my money, how to budget, you know, get my finances in order and just kind of retrain my brain on how money works and just like educate myself. And now I have a much better relationship with money. It is something that I had to like heal over, because it's not just like the actual act of like, oh, let me put money into a savings account, blah, blah, blah. Like it's the psychological. There's a lot of psychological. We learn money habits usually from our parents, or maybe we don't have anything to go off of. So we're just kind of going with the flow and like just not, I mean, you don't know what you don't know. And so it was just a lot of like self-education and like reading articles online and learning about investing. Like right now, like that's my big thing. I started actually like investing in stocks this year in 2021, so which is really exciting for me. I'm not quite ready to share with you guys all of that because I'm still learning myself, but yeah, it's really exciting. I'm really happy that it's going in that direction, and hopefully I'll be ready and able to share with you guys soon. So video on stocks and bonds coming soon, hopefully. There's an expression that's like, if a man has $10,000 and he's bad with money, he's still gonna be bad with money if he has $1 million. So it doesn't really matter like how much money you're making if you haven't figured out the psychology of like why you are the way you are with money, and really having that healthy understanding of money and credit and how it all works. And it really is important, not only, you know, on paper to apply for a loan, to buy a house, like get an apartment, all of those sorts of things, but just within yourself to know that you have the discipline, you have the self-control. You're going to be able to prove it to yourself that, you know, I set this goal, you know, I want to save up $5,000 to go on this vacation, or I want to save $1,000 to my dog birthday party. Like whatever your financial goal is, it could be big, it could be very small, and just knowing that like you have the discipline, you have the skills, you have that mindset. Your mindset is very powerful, and you have it in you to be able to achieve these goals. And I think I just didn't have that before, and it really helped me doing the no spend year. And I will post a link down below to my no spend challenge videos, because it was just so mind-opening, and I learned so much from that experience. And then I did another one again during the pandemic, or well, I tried to, I was starting to, and then it like honestly, like I should do a separate video for money stuff over the pandemic. That was a shit show, but I'm getting back on track. Things are looking good. It's only up from the way down, as Selena Gomez says. I want to hear from you guys. What have been your biggest financial mistakes, and what did you learn from them? Most importantly, leave them in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.